a simple night routine could change your life. Implement these 3 elements and you'll have a great night routine, setting your day up for success. A few years ago, I didn't have a night routine at all. I would go to sleep very, very late, staying up until over midnight, listening to music, scrolling through social media, watching any kind of YouTube videos all night long, and would sleep until 12 p.m. I told myself things like, I'm just a night owl, or I'm simply not a morning person, or I work better at night, I function better at night. But now I realized that I was just sabotaging myself. You can tell that I didn't have a job back then, otherwise I wouldn't be able to sleep until 12 p.m. and my life was simply a mess. I didn't have any purpose. Even though I had all these ambitions and goals, I didn't have any motivation to pursue them. If this sounds anything like you, listen closely, because if you feel overwhelmed by a night routine, know that you don't need a dozen habits to form a night routine. You only need one simple habit that you stick to constantly, and that will be the basis of your night routine. In this video, I will show you exactly which one habit that is for you, especially if you are just a beginner. So the first element is setting clear signals to your brain that it's time to wind down. So my night routine actually starts after sunset. Whenever the sun sets, I recognize this as a sign that it's time for my night routine. And the way I initiate my night routine is by my clothing. Clothes are a great way to separate whatever you are doing during the day. I've made it a habit to wear jeans and a sweatshirt during the day, and clothes that are generally more loose and more comfortable during the evenings. This way I can clearly separate between work time and relaxing time. Even if I continue to work after sunset though, this is an initial sign to my brain to just prepare for my night routine. It's just like, oh, it's time for the evening now, you can start to calm down. Then I pray the evening prayer, of course. It's called the Maghrib prayer. And if I want to eat something, I eat as early as possible. Try not to eat right before going to bed. Give your body at least 3 hours before sleep to properly digest your food. Otherwise, it will disrupt your sleep, which you don't want, because we want proper sleep. Oh, and please, no caffeine, no nicotine. You can just drink some warm tea instead and get some good protein and some good nutrition. That'll do much better. I also strongly recommend to dim all of your lights. I only got one LED light in my room because, you know, it's kind of ironic actually. We are sitting in rooms that are bright as day, but wonder why we don't get tired. So we naturally get sleepy when it gets dark. Our biological clocks work that way. So dim your lights and create a cozy atmosphere in your room, and you'll see how easy it gets to sleep in such a room like this. And a small pro tip right here, you can set your smart devices to shift to yellow light after a certain time to minimize blue light exposure. That's also a very helpful tip. So as the second part of my night routine, we're getting ready for bed slowly. Number 2, so element number 2, reflect on your day and mentally prepare for the next. The last hour before my bedtime has become extremely precious to me. And here is exactly the reason why. Whenever I had a long or chaotic day, I used to watch Netflix shows or have endless conversations with family and friends just to distract myself. But this usually led me to sleep a few hours later than usual, and that meant that I didn't get the proper sleep that I need, and that meant in return that I would end up working really exhausted the next day. And not just that, I would usually end up having nightmares during the night or wake up in the middle of the night because my mind just couldn't not wind down properly from that stressful day. After a few days that I experienced this, the last hour of my day became incredibly important to me. And I know I had to find a solution to wind down that wouldn't include watching Netflix or talking to friends or family. After some experimenting, I found reading and journaling to be the best option, for me at least. Getting my thoughts on paper and reading them makes me, it makes me reflect on what went well that day, and it makes me reflect on what didn't went well that way. It organizes my thoughts, And reading before bed does something magical to my brain that I can't even explain. It really helps me focus on what is being said in the book. Even if I only read like 10 pages, it really helps me. So reading, journaling, and planning the next day ahead are all really powerful tools to practice before going to bed. I would also recommend visualizing your next day, as I said before, and planning it on paper or in your notebook or something, so that you know exactly what you want to do when you wake up. So element number 3, winding down, removing distractions, and getting quality sleep. Now, the last part of my night routine starts by making wudu. That means purifying myself for the prayer. It is narrated that our Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, never ever went to sleep without purifying himself. And the reason for that is that we are taught to keep in mind that any night could be our last night. And we also believe that the way you leave this earth is the way you rise in the next. So when we step in front of our Creator, the one who made us, we want to be purified. We want to step in front of him purified. After purifying myself, I pray the last prayer of the day. It's called the Isha prayer, and that usually takes me around 20 minutes or so. I have also made up a few rules for myself. After the Isha prayer, there is no talking, or at least no talking extensively. There is no Netflix shows, there is no YouTube, or anything of that sort, because all of these things will lead me to stay up late. So I just eliminate all of these distractions right away. After I complete my final prayer, I finally change into my pajamas, recover on my bed, and start to read all of my sleep adhkar, which I have linked in the description below if you're interested. For non-Muslims watching, adhkar are just specific prayers that we recite for protection during the night and when we sleep. Now let's get to the critical part. How to set an alarm properly. I have seen so many night routine videos showing how they literally set up 1,000,000 different alarms in the morning. I used to do the same, and it used to be so annoying when I woke up because I literally had an alarm for every 3 minutes. Now I only have one because I simply moved my phone across the room. Just by doing this, I removed all of my distractions, and it forces me to get out of my bed in the morning. That's usually the hardest part for people. You know, it takes some willpower to consciously place your phone across the room, but once you do, it's totally worth it. So try. Let's talk about the app that I'm using for tracking my sleep. I think tracking your sleep is extremely important because you get valuable insights that are really useful if you want to get to know more about your sleep. Now, the app that I use is Sleep Cycle. You can find it on App Store, iOS, Android, whatever. And it's really cool because you can track your sleep. You can track the sounds that you make during sleep, which is actually interesting. If you have a dream or something, you can hear that because you're talking in the sleep. It shows you when you actually went to sleep. Like if you have 8 hours of bedtime, that doesn't actually equal to 8 hours of sleep. So sometimes I might have 8 hours of bedtime, but only have 7 hours of sleep. That can be, and I only can see this through my Sleep Cycle app. And by the way, this is not sponsored. So now let's get to the crucial part, sleep. Right now, I need about 7 hours of quality sleep in order to perform the next day. I've managed to reduce my sleep time from 9 hours to 7 just by exercising during the day, winding down before bed, and praying first thing in the morning. And I also want to add that if you are a non-Muslim watching this video, you can easily stretch for 10 minutes, have a quick mindfulness meditation, practice gratitude, and set your intentions for the next day as an alternative to praying, even though I strongly believe that prayer, especially the Muslim style of prayer, cannot be replaced by anything. Also, a little pro tip. If you don't have a plan for the next day, at least determine what you're gonna do right when you wake up. For me personally, I wake up before sunrise for the morning prayer. That gives me a reason to wake up, to stand up, to not sleep. If you don't have a reason to wake up, you're simply going to oversleep. As I said, if you are just a beginner trying to create a night routine for yourself, It is not necessary to implement everything I told in this video. Rather, take one habit that really resonates with you and stay consistent with it every single evening, and you'll see that the rest of your night routine will just simply fall into place. Here's a video of me trying the most powerful Muslim morning routine ever. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you right there.